Catherine, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm sitting here looking at the beautiful trees out my window here in Ashland, Oregon, which looks very much kind of like Twin Peaks.
Now, you were born there, am I correct?
No,
No?
no, I was born in Illinois and then grew up in Southern California. I didn't come up to Oregon and Washington until I did a movie years ago in Portland and really liked it, and then we shot the pilot for Twin Peaks in Snoqualmie, Washington, and I started to fall in love with the Pacific Northwest. So when I was offered a job in 1994 at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival in Ashland, Oregon, I already had a fondness for the big conifers of Oregon and Washington and decided to try it out for a year. And I've just finished my 21st season in the acting company.
That's incredible.
I know, it's pretty amazing. It's been great. I'm
sh-
lucky because I get to act 10 months a year, which is a real gift for an actor, and play two or three different plays a year, all different kinds of roles. So it's been wonderful, and I've gotten to squeeze in a little film and television in between. So, it's been a good gig. And I'm very fond now of these stands of trees, as you can imagine.
We got to change that IMDb listing. It says you were born in Ashland.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never really looked at that because I looked at it years ago. It was so filled with inaccuracies that I just kind of gave up. But you can change it if you want.
How did you find yourself in Los Angeles? Everybody has a story how they end up in LA, but how did you end up there?
I went to grad school in San Francisco, and I joined a theater. We started a theater called Circus with a wonderful group of actors and director David Lindemann, and he got offered a fellowship at the American Film Institute. We went down to Los Angeles as a theater troupe to do a wonderful kind of radical play called Tom Paine, and we all got agents and got asked to do television, and so I was married to Jack Nance, who played Henry in Eraserhead, and Pete Martell later in Twin Peaks, and we decided to move to LA and started working at the American Film Institute, where I met David Lynch. And so that really kind of settled me in for a long stint in LA, getting to know David, working on Eraserhead, and then doing other films with John Cassavetes and various and assorted other people and television. And then Twin Peaks came along, and I didn't really move to Oregon until '94. So that really is what brought me back to Los Angeles as a grown-up. What brought me there in the first place were my parents, because I was 4. I was age 4 when I moved to California. And my dad worked for Walt Disney, so I spent a lot of time in show biz as a kid.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, my mom was in vaudeville. My father was a director, a public relations director, and we did television and radio when I was a kid, and then he worked for Walt Disney, and I did Disney Night at the Hollywood Bowl and heard 17,000 people applaud, and I think that's what it really got in my blood, that I wanted to perform. But it was as a kid that we had a radio show called Breakfast with the Coulsons in Southern California. It was really fun. I was a little girl, and I think I got it early on. It was in my gene pool, the performance thing. A lot of it, I spent a lot of time in Disneyland as a kid and learned a lot about public relations, and I worked at Disneyland in various jobs all through high school, and it was a whole other culture growing up there. I think it warped me for life.
What was the difference between it then versus now? Because I know that a lot of people that have watched Disney transform over the years has just talked about how when Walt ran it, it was a very kind of like family atmosphere.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I haven't been there in a while. I'm about to go do a play in Los Angeles in December. I'm doing Into the Woods, this amazing Sondheim musical at the Wallace Annenberg Theater in Beverly Hills, and the whole cast have planned a Monday trip to Disneyland, because I haven't been there in quite a long time. I mean, I used to go every day when I was a kid and pick up my dad from work. But now I haven't been there in a long time, so I don't really know the difference. I mean, I knew it really as a child, and then in high school it was just a great place to work, as you can imagine.
Have you heard about the Into the Woods movie that just got made with Johnny Depp?
Oh, yeah, I think one of the reasons why the Wallace, as it's called, this theater, has decided to hire the Oregon Shakespeare Festival acting company that did Into the Woods here all year. They hired us all to come down and put on the same production in their theater, is because Into the Woods, the movie, will be coming out about the same time, and people will be interested in seeing the live theater performance of it. And it's a really good show. I mean, I have to say, there's live orchestra on stage, and it's going to be quite different in the movie, but it's the same story. And people like to, people like to read the book and then see the movie. It's the same kind of thing. They like to see the play, the musical on stage with live people, and then go see the movie. So I'm excited about that.
It is a wonderful stage show, and anybody who gets the chance to see it should definitely seek it out.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no, and this is a really wild, wonderful production. I play 4 roles. I play Milky White the cow. I play the evil stepmother in the Cinderella story. I play the granny in Little Red Riding Hood story. And I play the giant in Jack and the Beanstalk. So I change my clothes a lot, and it's just really fun.
Now, I know you've done a lot of work in film and obviously on stage now.
Mm-hmm.
Is the stage work just as satisfying for you as film work, or more so?
It's different. I like them both. What I love about live theater is live audiences. And I love that you don't get a take two. I mean, you just go out there and give it your all. And there's a certain kind of wonderful freshness about that. Every night you do a show, and we're going to be doing 8 shows a week of Into the Woods in L.A., in Beverly Hills, actually. It's like you have to put it out every moment, every night. Film is really wonderful medium because you can do it over if you don't love something that, it's a very intimate medium. I've done a lot of independent films. Even up here I've done quite a few, and I like film and television a lot. It's just different. I kind of like them equally, but I think, people say it's almost a cliche, but my first love really is the theater, just because I like relating to live audiences. And then here in Ashland, Oregon, you walk out of the theater and everybody wants to talk about the play. People come here to see plays, to this little town of 20,000 people. There are, 800,000 tickets sold every year. I mean, people come from all over the world to see world-class theater, and that's really very rewarding to talk about the plays, teach about them, all of that. But I love film and television. I'm thrilled to be doing television again. It's more lucrative, for sure.
And another thing that's really awesome about the theater experience is, besides, when it's indoors, it's great. Sometimes an outdoor theater is even more spectacular because I know from my experience in my hometown here in Monterey and Carmel, they put on the show of Cats, and it's an outdoor theater. And so when they sing to the moon, they actually sing to the moon above the the audience.
Exactly what happened, Cameron, in Into the Woods. We did that outside all summer long, from May to October, on the outdoor stage, the Elizabethan. It's called the Allen Elizabethan Theater, and there's 1,200 seats, and you look up at the stars. So when we're singing, Into the Woods, we're surrounded by trees, and it is an extraordinary experience to do it outside. I love that. Now, when we do it in Beverly Hills, we'll be inside in a 500-seat theater, but so it'll be different. But performing outside is wonderful. I love that part of working here.
Laura Dern has always said that the first time she met David Lynch, he came in and said, "I have to take a pee," and ran out of the room. Do you remember the first time you met David?
Yeah, I do. I was married to Jack Nance, who and he and I were both asked to come over to David's house, where he lived with his first wife, Peggy, who's a wonderful woman and still a good friend, and also a good friend of David's. And they had a little girl named Jenny, and who's now Jennifer Lynch. And we went to their house and just chatted. And I think the interview was really for Jack to see if he would be a good Henry in Eraserhead. But David also talked to me about playing the nurse in Eraserhead. We were both actors in this acting company. We were part of the American Film Institute workshop, which we were doing for directors to learn how to act, and I mean to have the experience of acting. So we taught a few classes, and David was this really nice guy, very sweet, kind of mid Western kind of accent. I mean dialect, kind of just a straight shooting guy, and he had on a couple of ties, and I think a kind of torn Panama hat. Anyway, he and Jack really hit it off, and we met. We had a good chat. We didn't talk much about the movie, and Jack and I decided, yeah, we'll be a part of it because he seemed like such a good guy, and he had a nice family. And then the next time we met on the set of Eraserhead, which he had been building with his brother, and this guy Jack Fisk, has become a wonderful director, was an art director at the time, and he asked me to help him time some scenes as we were trying to figure out how long the movie would be. And at the time, they used to say, I think it was like a minute a page, and he had like 20 pages. But in fact, it became a gigantic, wonderful feature film. But so I timed some scenes with a stopwatch, and then when we started shooting and Jack Nance was cast as Henry, the lead, I said I could help out on the crew because I wasn't going to be acting as the nurse until later on in the shoot. And so I started helping out by holding the boom and helping with the lighting, and I did Jack's hair as Henry, and then I took production stills and sort of did everything. It was really my film school, and David really taught me a lot about making movies, and it was a whole other world for me. I had only been doing theater for the most part, so I really fell in love with filmmaking because of that experience. And then we never actually shot the scene with the nurse because by the time we got to that, about 4 years later, we really didn't have a lot of money, and I didn't think it was that important to shoot it, and I was helping raise the money, so we didn't do it. But that's my one regret. I'm sorry didn't play that part. But.
So sometimes a whole year would go by in between filming a shot for Eraserhead. I'm really curious about what that time in between was like. I mean, I know David was very determined to get the film done, but was there ever a time where you and Jack and David were ever just sitting around or getting a bite to eat and just, it's late in the night and, you're just thinking, how much longer is this going to take to film? Or were you guys just so in love with the world that it didn't matter how long it took?
I think more the latter, Cameron. We really enjoyed each other and the process. There was 1 year where David stopped shooting and did a lot of editing with Alan Splett and worked on, figuring, we did some fundraising and so forth, that I went off and worked with Fred Elms and did some Cassavetes films. I think we did Killing of a Chinese Bookie then. And so that was the only time that I was really away, but we always checked in with each other, and every once in a while we'd do a shot on an animation stand, like an insert of a thermometer or something like that. We would shoot a little, but pretty much it was on hiatus for a while, but we stayed. There was never a sense of let's get this over with or let's give up or any of that. It was always something for me anyway, something I was going to see through to the end. There was no question about it. I remember once I had jury duty, and it just killed me because I had to miss a couple of shots of the movie, which I hadn't missed anything, and I had to stay downtown in L.A. and be rejected for every jury that I tried to get on. But it was a wonderful time in our young lives. We were in our, how old are you?
I'm 38 now.
Oh, okay. All right. So we were in our 20s. We were early 20s, late 20s. I mean, we started off as really young people. We ended up a little older. But we had a really good time together. It was a real team effort. It was David's vision, and we all helped make it happen. Have you seen the DVD, the new Blu-ray of Eraserhead from Criterion?
Yes. And
I just watched some of the interviews. I thought it was really good.
Yes. Make sure though, on the disc, it will say, make sure it says second pressing. If it says,
I know. I heard there was a scene missing, right?
There was a shot missing. Yeah. So
you know what it was?
It was a reaction shot of Jack.
Oh.
So they went back.
Yeah.
And
No, I
fixed
just got a call from Criterion telling me that they were going to send me a new copy.
Okay.
But I haven't watched the movie again yet because I just watched it at USC. We did a big film panel about it, so I haven't seen it. Actually, I just watched those sort of all the interviews, which was really fun to see.
It's great having you on the when David's telling the whole story about the making of it, and you call in and talk to him and stuff. That's great. Oh
yeah, he talked to me on the phone.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, and he very super polite and very appreciative. I said that on the Eraserhead thing. I mean, he always paid us. We always got paid every week, and I mean, he was just a generous guy, even though we were all broke. He always made sure that people got paid.
Now, you're credited as being an assistant director on the film.
And I think camera assistant too, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So what were you assisting David on? I know you were helping on everything, but in terms of everybody gets onto a routine. What was your normal routine?
Well, really my normal routine was I was really did Jack's hair. That was the credit I really wish I'd had. And Fred Elms taught me how to take production stills. So all those photos, most of the photos of Eraserhead I took. So I'm kind of sorry I didn't ask for that. I told David once that I wish I had said Mr. Nance's hair by, but he actually designed it. I just executed it. I think I did a lot of cooking. We ate, we sort of ate all our meals there at the AFI in the stables. And then I learned how to assist Fred and Herb with the lighting. And I learned how to put lights up, and then the most important job was really I learned how to pull focus, how to do follow focus on the camera. And that was a real skill set. And then I got in the camera union because they were desperate for women then. And there were very few women in the camera union, so I got into the union and worked in the film and television business as a camera assistant for a while. A fair amount of time, back and forth. I would act in something, and then I'd go shoot something. In fact, I was acting in a movie of the week one time where I had to cry on a witness stand, and it was a long dolly shot. And the director of photography, whose name I can't remember, unfortunately, looked at me really carefully, and he said, I think this woman is in our union. Let's give her an eye light. And I got better lighting because I was acting, but I was also in the camera union. So that was kind of a nice perk. So I really learned a lot about acting again for film by helping photograph people. And the job that I did on Eraserhead in assisting the camera people and David was sort of a jack of all trades kind of job, where I did everything from buy the vanilla pudding for the drawer to pulling the focus of Henry walking down the hallway. And it was really my film school. I learned a little bit of everything. And I think we decided on that title of assistant to David at the same time that we all signed a little thing that said how many points we got for the film. I didn't really know better. I didn't really know any better about what to ask for in terms of credits, but I'm perfectly happy with that. I did assist him.
What I find interesting is that you went from working with David Lynch and to a few years later you worked with Albert Brooks and modern romance, and that to me, I mean, talent is talent, but he's a very different person than David Lynch is. Can you talk about what it was like to work with Albert Brooks?
Oh, I loved Albert. He's a very funny guy. Yeah, we had a lot of fun on Modern Romance. I was the camera assistant, I think. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was fun. I mean, I worked with great people. I worked with John Cassavetes on two movies. That was really an amazing experience. I even shot, I operated a camera on that, on a film called Opening Night. Have you ever seen that?
No.
It's a really interesting Cassavetes film, and The Killing of a Chinese Bookie. And I liked Albert. We had a good time. That was a real big union movie. And I think I was a camera assistant. Yeah, it was a good job. I liked Albert. And I think we kind of all became friends over that film. I haven't seen him in a long time, but I sure enjoyed him. He's one funny guy.
Now, one film that a lot of people don't know that you worked on, which is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, yeah, I was the first assistant camera. That was the first time, I think, a female had ever done that job on a big studio picture. So I was pretty much in charge of the camera crew. And it was like, 4 or 5 cameras sometimes. And I worked with this wonderful cameraman, Gain Rescher. And there's actually some pictures somewhere on some website of me working as an assistant. And I got to, I did some hand inserts, and because I was also in the other union. So I did a little bit of everything on that. But I loved working on that. It was a really high secret set. You couldn't talk about who killed Khan who killed Spock, it was all very top secret. It was sort of good prep for Twin Peaks when I think about it.
Exactly. Did you see the quote unquote remake that just came out, the Star Trek Into Darkness?
No, I haven't seen it. Should I see it?
It's all right. It's just but it takes a lot from Star Trek 2 and kind of switches things up a bit and kind of remakes it. But of course, all the Trekkies still like Star Trek 2 the best. So.
Well, they do? Oh, that's good to hear. Well, Nicholas Meyer directed it. He was a really good director. I liked him a lot. We'd shot that at Paramount. Yeah, it was like, you had to sign your life away to work on it and just to get pages of the script, and, you couldn't tell anybody what was going to happen, and it was very exciting. And the fans would send us presents that had, like, microphones buried in them and stuff. It was fun.
Now, that leads me to an interesting question here, and that is, when you made Star Trek II, that was obviously before the internet, there was fan magazines and stuff like that, but other than that, there wasn't a platform to get out information quickly like Twitter and Instagram and all that. Same thing when you guys were doing Twin Peaks.
Yeah, true.
Even though the scripts would say loose lips sink ships and that sort of thing. Again, it was like, unless TV Guide or Entertainment Weekly picked something up, it wasn't going to get out there. Here's the thing that concerns me, especially with this new series that's coming out. The fact that if David and Mark go out and shoot anything exterior, there's going to be people out there taking pictures of any of the actors, tweeting it, Instagramming it, and people are going to start like knowing things about the show before it even hits. And I worry that is going to take Twin Peaks into a different realm.
Well, it probably will, but Cameron, worrying about it will do you no good. There's nothing we can do about it. I think it's just going to be whatever it is, We'll try, and maybe David won't need to keep things as private as before. We'll just have to wait and see and take it a day at a time. We're not going to know,
Right.
And it is going to be a different world. There weren't even cell phones when we did Twin Peaks. Agent Cooper had a giant walkie-talkie. So I think it's going to be a different world, but I think whatever it is, everybody's going to adjust to it.
Now,
we're going to have to.
Exactly. Now, Twin Peaks is a show that if you show it to anybody today, I mean, with the exception of, like you said, no cell phones and internet and things like that, the show is timeless because there's not there's not music of the day. It's very classical.
Right. There's nothing to really date it. Yeah, I agree.
So now this new series, presumably is 25 years later. So do you think that David and Mark will continue to make it a classical type of feeling, or do you think they're going to make it more about today?
I have no idea. I know nothing. When I talked to David, he said, it's too early for details. And I said, what do I tell people? He said, details to follow and don't play in the street. Those were the two things. And then I wrote him and said, listen, I'm doing a lot of interviews. Is there anything else I can talk about? And he said I could talk about how important wood is to the log lady, and that we should work very hard to protect our wood and our natural resources. So I've been doing a lot of reading about trees and ancient forests and so forth, but I don't know anything about the new series. I don't know where it's going to be shot. I don't know when. I don't know anything other than that they asked me to do it. And I said yes, but that's all I know. I'm not being coy. I really don't know.
I believe you.
Okay.
So obviously between Eraserhead and Twin Peaks, there's a large gap there where you didn't work with David. And I know the stories about how when you were working on Eraserhead that he would say things like, I see you on your own TV show, right? I'll test your knowledge with every branch.
I'll test your log with every branch of knowledge. Yeah, I'll test my log. It was called, I'll test my log with every branch of knowledge.
So when Twin Peaks came up, were you and David still friends, or did he just
yeah. We stayed friends all these years.
Okay. Yeah. I wasn't sure if he just thought back. It's like, Catherine would be great for this, and he hadn't talked to you in a while.
No, we knew each other and stayed in touch over the years, but we hadn't talked a lot about the TV series, I'll Test My Log with Every Branch of Knowledge in a while. And when he called me to tell me about Twin Peaks, he said, I've got this series, I've got this pilot with ABC, and I want you to play the log girl. And remember, and I said, oh yeah, I do remember. And we decided that she was really not a girl anymore, so we're going to call her the log lady. And that's kind of how that came about. And then as we started shooting it, the character, kind of caught people's imagination. So then they wrote in more stuff for her. And David and I would figure out the backstory and, talk about what happened to her husband and all that kind of stuff. Each time before we shot something, we'd have a conversation and decide what the story would be of what had happened to her. So that's really kind of what happened with the log lady is, she just kind of went into a retreat mode between Eraserhead and Twin Peaks, but she was never dormant completely. Was just roiling there under the pine needles, and then he brought her back out, and it's been there ever since. I mean, it's been an amazing ride because now, hipsters in college are really into Twin Peaks. I mean, I get stopped everywhere I go. All the time for the log lady. And I was in Budapest last year, and a whole bunch of 20-year-olds came up to me and said, Margaret? And I said, well, kind of. And then, I have these little cards that I sign the autograph of the log, because that's what I think people really are interested in, is the wood. So I gave them all little log cards, and they were very happy with that. It's very popular in Eastern Europe still.
How about Japan?
I think it's still popular in Japan. It was very big in Japan when we were doing it. Japanese tourists would come to Snoqualmie, Washington all the time in huge busloads.
Cheryl Lee talks about right around Fire Walk With Me was being made that in Japan people would still have ceremonies and put a mannequin wrapped in plastic and let it drift down a river.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
I think she said it was like every year on Laura's death.
Uh, well, maybe that'll start again. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen. There certainly has been a lot of excitement around it. I must say that announcement, I think it was October 6th, it has just gone like wildfire. I hate to use the word fire when I'm talking about the log, but it is, it has been quite a cultural phenomenon.
When that news hit, is that when you found out about it, or had you been hearing rumblings for a while that it might happen?
I can't really answer that.
Okay. So when the character of the Log Lady first took off during the first season, did you ever find yourself, especially as the second season progressed, having to discuss with the writers about what the proper use of her so that maybe she didn't become overexposed? Or
No, I didn't really. I mean, David and I continued to talk. He was pretty busy with Wild at Heart at the time, but it wasn't. No, I think they took things and I think they had somebody dress up like the Log Lady and was sort of a bad guy and stuff like that. I didn't really have any input about that. No, I didn't get a chance to talk too much with them about it. I wasn't worried about overexposure, that's for sure. I just felt like it was going in whatever direction it was going in. It wasn't really my department,
Right. Now, here's one interesting thing that I haven't heard you discuss in terms of Margaret is she seems to have a grudge against normal society outside of her own house because she spits the pitch gum. She has this intense look in her eyes when she flicks the lights on and off. But when Cooper's at her house, she'll slap his hand if he grabs the cookies.
Well, of course. He shouldn't be grabbing a cookie without permission. Yeah, no, I don't think there's anything about her that had a grudge necessarily. I mean, she didn't see herself as having a grudge. She just was being herself. I mean, she had a rough life, let's face it.
Right.
And her husband died in a fire, so she wasn't too happy about that. But I don't think she was in any way, a misfit or anything else. I think she just called it like it is. She just told the truth.
I just remember that moment when Norma asked her to stop spitting the gum.
Well, that really pissed her off, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
No, she didn't take any guff from anybody, The Log Lady. She was just herself. Yeah.
Now, as someone who has worked in a number of Shakespeare festivals up in Ashland, did you ever see the Log Lady kind of functioning as sort of like a chorus to Twin Peaks? Because sometimes she comes in and says something humorous. Sometimes she comes in and comments on the situation. She's brought in at very crucial moments in the series.
Gee, I had never thought about that. I don't know. I think she was kind of a soothsayer. She was definitely the only normal person in town, as far as I could tell. She was a pretty straight shooter and told people what they needed to hear when it was time to say it. But, no, I never saw her as a chorus. Maybe this time it'll be different because I know more, but I don't think so. Honestly, I was really given this character as a gift, and I just tried to do the best job I could with her, and I didn't really think about it as being anything other than a person. We didn't analyze who we were in the great scheme of things. I was just playing her as a real person, given the wonderful writing that I was given, and the other actors, and we just would go to work and make these people come to life as best we could.
Now, there's one crucial scene in the series of where you and Sheriff Truman and Agent Cooper go to the roadhouse. And you are listening to the Julie Cruz music, and then Julie Cruz disappears, and the giant appears to Cooper and lets him know it is happening again. Now, the light...
I'm in the Roadhouse?
Yes. You're sitting next to...
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that may answer this question, because I was going to say, the light that's beaming on Cooper is half on you, and you have a look like you see the giant as well.
Oh, I am so sorry, Cameron.
Okay.
I have to watch the series again. I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm about to go to Philadelphia and do a little talk about David's artwork and the world of Twin Peaks, and show 3 episodes that I remember, enjoying, and the log lady was in. And so I promised myself that between now and November 29th, when I go to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Art and give this little lecture, I have to watch it, because I had a toddler at the time, so I didn't always see everything when we shot it, because I was always putting my kid to bed. So, I don't know that people want to hear this, but I just have to let's say I have to review it again.
No problem.
Because I don't remember the specifics. Is at the time I was a sleep deprived mother,
Is that why the log lady disappears for the second half of the second season for a little bit, because you were taking care
No. I think it was just that it was other people writing it, honestly. I don't think it had anything. I don't know why. I didn't even realize I did. Did I disappear?
For about probably 5 or 6 episodes, and then you come back.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not aware. I really wasn't aware of that. At the time, I was probably aware of it, but I don't think there was any rhyme or reason to it. I think it's just the way the story unfolded. For a while, it unfolded without her. But no, it had nothing to do with my not being available. I think I was available. I think they just didn't write stuff for her at the time.
Have you seen the new shot that's been discovered of you in Fire Walk with Me being on the porch? And...
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't discovered. It was just not used in the. I love that scene. I saw it when we did the big red carpet thing in LA in the summer, mm-hmm. and we Paramount and CBS showed all the deleted scenes. It has a name for it.
Well, it's the missing pieces, but
missing pieces. That's what I'm trying to think of. That's what we showed. That's what David showed at the theater at the Vista in L.A. in July or August. Mm-hmm. It was a big premiere, and there were a bunch of pictures of all of us, and they showed the missing pieces from Fire Walk with Me, and there was me howling at the moon, crying and howling at the moon. Yeah, I love doing that scene. I was so sorry when it wasn't in the movie, so I'm glad it's out there now.
Now, if you read the script, it says that not only are you doing this, but your tattoo is pulsating. Was that shot as well, or was that the only shot you guys did for the movie?
My tattoo? What tattoo? The one on my leg?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't. I was the middle of the night, and it was really cold, and we were up in Washington, and I out in the middle of nowhere, and they built like a few walls of the log lady's cabin, and we shot that. Me howling, kind of weeping and howling at the moon scene, and we might have done my tattoo. I really don't remember. It was like 3 a.m. by the time we got to it.
Is that why you had that terrifying look of sadness? Like, please let me go to sleep.
No. I was really sad about I always loved Laura Palmer. The log lady has a special relationship with Laura Palmer, and Cheryl and I have a special relationship. I really care about her.
Well, that definitely shows, especially in that scene outside of Roadhouse. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'll have to watch that. Do you know what episode it's in?
That it's in the missing pieces. It's like the third to the last.
Oh, the one of the me crying, yeah.
Yeah.
But what about the one where I'm in the roadhouse with the giant and all that?
Oh, that's I believe it's episode 14.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll have to watch that.
It's one of the longest 15 minutes I remember ever watching growing up.
And it's in season 2?
Yeah, it's when Leland kills Maddie, and then it cuts back to you all in the roadhouse, and it's
okay.
Yeah, with the Julie Cruz music. You can't.
Oh, okay, I'll check that out. Thank you.
Now, you say you have a special relationship with Cheryl Lee. Now, in the Between Two Worlds segment that's on the Blu-ray set, David Lynch interviews her as the character Laura Palmer.
Oh, right, and also Leland and also her mom, right?
Right, Grace Zabriskie.
That sort of black and white looking or kind of sepia tone.
Right, and she
I saw that night at the movie theater.
And she says there's more to the mystery than what people know. Now, I know you don't know anything, and I'm just asking for. We're just speculating here, but because of the log lady's sort of almost psychic link with Agent Cooper in some of the scenes, the fact that your character in the final episode brings the Scorch engine oil to Cooper from your husband, and Ronette is also brought in. It's my, and I'm probably totally wrong here, but it seems like it's being set up that you and Ronette are going to play a factor in perhaps deciding or helping Cooper's fate.
Gee, that would be fascinating, wouldn't it? I have no idea. I have to watch that last episode again, too. I don't know. But I do like the woman who played, is that Ronette Pulaski?
Yes.
Yeah, what's her name, the actress? Phoebe.
Yeah, Phoebe Augustine.
Oh, I love Phoebe. We did a Twin Peaks fan festival in the UK. The UK festival is really fun. And I hung out with her and her husband, and she's really a fun woman. It would be fun to work with her again. You know, I don't even know who else is going to be in the new series. Do you?
Well, Kyle tweeted out that he's got his percolator going and he's dusting off his jacket.
Right, right. But do you know anybody else?
Michael Horse has said that Michael Onkine has been contacted and is interested.
And is Michael Horse?
He's been contacted, but when I talked to him, he still needed to reach back to David.
Oh, okay.
But now, when you and David worked on the Bravo intros for the Log Lady,
right,
it's very interesting that her fireplace is now all boarded up. So,
hey, are those? Excuse me for interrupting. Are those intros in this new the Paramount CBS thing?
Yes, they are.
Oh, good. I noticed they weren't on Netflix. I was sort of sad about that.
They've been remastered in HD.
Oh, good. So the sound's better?
Yes.
Oh, good.
It seems that Margaret has not only a physical, but also a real emotional fear about the possibility of another fire rising.
Well, you know, she carries a piece of wood with her,
right.
Cameron. Come on, get real. She's not fond of fire, that's for sure. No, she doesn't. You don't light a cigarette or a candle near her,
right?
Let alone a fireplace.
And for my final question, between all the stage plays you work on, how else do you, unwind? Do you like to read? Do you watch TV? Watch a movie? Do you just go hiking?
Yeah, all the above. I think. Yeah, I like to read. I like to hike. I watch a little bit of television. I really love, I'm really glad about cable. I actually do really like Showtime. I like my friend does, Homeland. I watch that. I have, I work a lot at night because I perform, 6 to 8 shows a week. So I'm pretty busy. So, I do some teaching. I would say I don't do as much unwinding as I do winding, but I do meditate. I'm still a meditator. David and I started meditating at the same time, and I'm still doing it. So that's pretty much what I do to unwind is meditate. And we do that. I do that twice a day, and that really helps me stay even-tempered.
And focused, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think, David talks about digging deep, and sort of creativity coming out of this deep well. And the longer you meditate, the deeper the well.
Very true. Well, Catherine, thank you so much for joining me today. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
you're so welcome, Cameron. It was a pleasure talking to you.